Hey, listen to Wrestling Up on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Discord, we got Josh.
Hey!
As a matter of priority, first thing to talk about for this week's show is Wrestlepalooza coming up this weekend. So let's take a look at those 5 matches at time of recording that are announced. First up, it is the Women's World Championship, which sits vacant after Naomi announces that she is pregnant, heads off for a little while. Stephanie finally gets her shot she was meant to have in Paris. We've broken the glass. Io Sky has come on out. Where will this championship lie after this weekend?
It wasn't for the reports of her going AWOL last week, would have said it probably would have been a slam dunk to be Stephanie. I I don't know how much truth that rumor was,
Mhm.
because they did immediately have her involved in NXT the next night. She just was for some, so I don't know, but I'd say there's probably a 60-40 chance here for the and for who wins this match. Uh, because as we've been talking multiple weeks, it's like break glass for Io Sky or Rhea Ripley for this title, and so I think there's a pretty good chance Io could win. I'm sticking with Stephanie, but I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think the storyline is sort of making a bit of sense. Obviously, as you say, on NXT, Stephanie popped down to have a one-off match against Fatal Influence. That one I don't think played into the storyline as much, but if we look at Raw, and Stephanie kind of wanted to tear apart the Kabuki Warriors, ended up winning her match against Kairi Sane, and it was actually Io Sky who was, stopping Asuka from getting in there and attacking Stephanie. And I feel like that's the extension of what we're going to end up getting at WrestlePalooza. An Asuka or a Kairi come out, try to help their friend, Sky gets distracted, Stephanie picks up the win kind of thing. We've known that Asuka Sky has been the storyline that's waiting in the wings. Makes sense that the Naomi announcement sort of derailed us for a little while, but I think we probably want to get back on that train, which, I'm not going to complain if it is Stephanie who does pick up the championship.
Yeah.
We've also got just a tag team match. The Vision, Bronson Reed, and Bron Breakker going up against the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso.
First time in a couple of years that they've teamed together. Um, we've talked for years like the greatest tag teams in WWE history. You cannot include that list, any list you're creating, without either the New Day or the Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have enjoyed the Jay and LA Knight issues and uh, the way they seemingly are setting it where they don't trust each other, they don't like each other, they don't want anything to do with each other, even though the Vision wants them to have stuff to do with each other. I think the Vision wins here. And I think it will probably end up being because of LA Knight.
Yeah, I think, again, when you look at what happened on Raw, right, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed did pick up the win. It was against LA Knight and Jimmy Uso, but if you just look at how that show ended, LA Knight, attacking Jey Uso, it does feel like that is going to play a factor in this weekend's match. And we do know War Games down the line, it's going to be the 50 millionth time we're talking about it. The teams start to form, they all start to make a bit of sense. But clearly there is gonna be friction on this side of things, especially between LA Knight and Jey Uso. So I'm with you. I think that it's probably that friction that does end up costing them the match. Breaker and Reed, can always do with the wins. I think they look good in the matches that they're in, but it's not going to hurt the Usos, especially if it is because of LA Knight that they end up taking the loss. As you say, it's been a while since they've teamed together. Could be a little bit of team rust there, but I think it should be a good match between the four at least, because, as you say, Usos, one of the best tag teams around. Up next, another tag team match. This time we're gonna mix it up a little bit. CM Punk and AJ Lee taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch.
Man, what to say about this? Uh, Honestly, I think it'll be a fine match. I don't think it'll be a great one. I think Seth and CM Punk will probably do a lot of the heavy lifting for this match. Uh, Mostly because of the fact that it's AJ Lee's first actual match in 10 years. Um, and you can do all kinds of practice and stuff, but there's still a completely different beast when you do it in front of a live audience.
Mhm.
As much as I want to say I want to see Seth and Becky stick it to him, this is the unretirement match for AJ Lee. um, so I don't see the Punk and AJ Lee losing this match. Now, them walking out after the match, that's a different story. That continues storylines and stuff. So I could see them winning and then being destroyed by an angry and upset Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I think that is most likely the way that it will go, right? As you say, AJ Lee's return match, it'd be a little bit shocking to have her lose. I think CM Punk's also been screwed over at every opportunity. That's kind of the story where he is right now. Every time he gets close to the championship, every time he gets close to Seth Rollins, there is that hurdle in the way. So it would do, I think, well to have them both come out on top. I don't think, at least in the super short term, that that's going to have title ramifications in terms of, in the next 4 weeks. I think this is still, we got to get over War Games with the Vision and Seth Rollins on one side and CM Punk on the other side before we can really start thinking about at least a World Heavyweight title change. Women's Intercontinental, maybe that could go, maybe that couldn't go. We'll have to see what happens with AJ Lee. I think maybe some of it is going to be contingent on how well that match goes. Is there any rust? Can she immediately catapult into that championship feud, potentially as champion? We'll have to see how it all shakes out, really. And I expect the match to be good. I think the talent is all there in terms of Punk, Rollins, and Lynch, and AJ's great. We just got to see how fast she comes back. Some people can snap their fingers and immediately be back to how they were 10 years ago, and some people are going to take a couple months to warm back up into it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just everybody returns differently. The WWE Championship on the line. Wasn't sure if it was going to work with Cody Rhodes' filming schedule in Australia, but he's made it back. He's declared his intention to fight Drew McIntyre.
Well, it's at least a title defense. I have to say, wasn't a lot of the issues that people complained about Roman Reigns' title reign that he was never around? Isn't that
Yes.
kind of what Cody has been doing the last couple months? Not be around?
Also, yes.
Yeah. Is it just a pass because Cody's actually liked and has a neck tattoo or something? Or
I don't think the neck tattoos are positive, I'm going to be honest.
I think some people do think it is. But yeah, it's like, I don't see Drew beating Cody for the title. It would surprise me, but because I think they've got a lot of stuff they have to do with Cody and as champion still. So, but hey, Drew gets a title match. Now, what will he complain about after this match? That's the question.
Yeah, it seems like a cop-out answer from me to say, there's two ways that this match can go when it's a one-on-one match. I think Cody Rhodes was definitely the method to get the championship back off of Cena, to turn him to face and put him into the last chapter of his retirement tour. And really the question just comes down to, was that all Cody Rhodes was for? Was he the tool for that? And then you immediately spin it out onto Drew McIntyre, and you can have Cody chase. You can have him take time off if he still needs to finish filming. You can still do a bunch of stuff with other fresh challenges onto Drew. Or is he just going to have that new champion buff where Cody Rhodes is going to have the title and there's no chance in hell that Drew McIntyre has of actually defeating him? As you picked, probably the most likely option. As much as I would love to see the title back around Drew McIntyre's waist, it is a new champion, and it is Cody Rhodes. He's got two buffs stacked in his corner. Odds are on his favor, really.
Yeah. Um, I think it's time to start building like the boss for Cody's right. The person that we think might be the guy that takes it off of him. And unfortunately, I just haven't had time to build it to be Drew. As great as Drew has been over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like insanely shocked if it did happen, but yeah, I think it'll take a little bit more than. Is this Cody Rhodes' first defense? I feel like it might be, since picking the title back up, for Drew to do it. Maybe a couple months down the line, possibly. We're roughly halfway through, but we'll smash out the last match on Wrestlepalooza. It's John Cena. It's Brock Lesnar. We knew the clash was going to happen since SummerSlam, but we are here now, and they're going to go head to head.
Well, this could go one of two ways. This is either a 20-minute match in which they both go to absolute war and they're bloody and stuff, and whoever wins barely wins, or this is a repeat of the SummerSlam match from, I think it was 2016, in which Brock Lesnar just steamrolls John Cena.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I think you're right. I think those are the outcomes that we have sitting in front of us. It's just a case of where are we gonna go with John Cena. After this at WrestlePalooza, he's got basically a month off. At least in the currently booked appearances, he's got about a month off. He's going to show up in Perth with no build, just straight after this one, show up in Perth. Then he gets another month off, couple of Raws, Survivor Series, and then his retirement match. And so I don't really know what they're going to do after this, if they plan to have him wrestle in Perth without appearing between now and then, or whether he's going to practically get 2 months off wrestling until he shows up in Boston in mid-November. I don't know. A lot of things seem to line up for John Cena getting quote-unquote hurt, or at least having a very brutal match that requires him to take some time off. Just the pacing of his last few dates and where we've sort of put ourselves into a corner, getting to those last ones with only one appearance in October. Maybe they're going to do a rematch in Perth. I feel like it would be hard without him appearing. And if you're going to do a rematch later, then Lesnar's kind of got to win here, because you wouldn't have Cena go over twice. Is Lesnar going to play a factor in the War Games match? Is he going to join the Vision side and Cena joins the good guys side? I got a lot of open hanging questions, and I think this WrestlePalooza match sets the tone for how the other 5 dates are going to go, in terms of, is John Cena going to be quote-unquote working hurt? Is he going to need to pick up that win again on Lesnar, or is he just going to be picking up wins the entire way through the rest of his career for this year?
I think Cena might win just one match of his rest of his matches.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be like a lot of his remaining appearances are probably going to be either him just coming and saying goodbye, or maybe on, because he's got a couple Raw appearances, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having like an impromptu match, or something for him to have his last match on Raw the way he had his last match on SmackDown, and that match maybe being the match he wins, um, before he does the honors with whoever he is his retirement. Um, so I think Brock wins. Um, it's just a question of how, where how we get there. Is it a quick match or is it an absolute war? Because I don't think it's going to be anywhere in between, to be honest.
Yeah, the way Cena's been putting on bangers as of late, the match with Cody, the match with Logan, the match with Sami Zayn, I'd I'd like to see them go to war. You know, I'd like to see both of them just go out there and put on a 20-minute slobber knocker. Um, do I think that's what's gonna happen? I'll have to flip a coin on that one. But we'll see how Wrestlepalooza plays out. Obviously this weekend, and we'll talk about the results next week. But it is time to play our entrance theme of the week, and as always for a pay-per-view preview show, it is the theme song for that show. Who's calling it? Who's calling it? Where the function? And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Jumping over to NXT if we can for a little while. NXT Homecoming just happened mere hour before recording. But we got a few main roster appearances, a few little things here and there. First one I want to talk about Trick and Carmelo versus DIY, because I think that may have some main roster implications since The Miz did poke his nose in and kind of was the deciding factor there.
Yeah, it's it's a fun. I think it was a fun match. And I think it's interesting that uh, I think it was the right call having Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes win the match. Um, Honestly, Carmelo Hayes has not done a lot the last few
No.
months. Um, so it's nice to see him doing something. Uh, Anytime we see the Miz is always great. Going to be great. Um, but yeah, it just we'll have to see where they go from here. But I think very clearly with the rest of the show as well, they're planning to load NXT for at least the foreseeable future with WWE talent along with their NXT talent, as well as anything that may show up from a TNA standpoint.
Yeah, it's as you say, obviously a lot of alumni showing up throughout the night. But yeah, they've been dropping hints. Obviously, the women's tag team champions can come down and defend either way. Sami Zayn pokes his nose in. Damian Priest pokes his nose in. There's a few other people who could potentially hang around, either short term or longer term. I think NXT No Mercy will be a good little checkpoint to see where we're at with everything. I think most of the championships are going to be on the line as well. So we'll see, I think, as the weeks head towards No Mercy. I don't want to preview No Mercy just yet. We got to save that one. But I think what was interesting was after Trick Williams' win here, he is still feuding with Obafemi, and my least favorite kind of match. It looks like these two may be going head to head to see where we end up for No Mercy, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. Do not love me some champ v champ matches. But let's look at that main event, the 6-woman match. It was Ripley, Valkyria, and Vakir versus Fatal Influences. We said Fatal Influence got no shot, and they had no shot.
Nope. Nope, not at all. It's it was a good match. But yeah, unfortunately, when you have 3 main roster people, and it's 3 top main roster people,
Mm-hmm.
not just the fact that it's from the main roster. It's like 1A, somebody trying to compete for 1B, and then the mid card top talent on the main roster. Yeah, you're not going to beat them. especially when it involves the 1A talent.
I think Rhea Ripley could have 1v3'd them.
Yeah, she absolutely would have. Probably would have done the Riptide on all three of them at once if she really wanted to.
Yeah,
It
it's
wouldn't
fair.
have made sense, but it would have happened.
And I guess this is my subtle segue to flick back to Raw, because I do want to talk about something that happened there. Lyra Valkyria had her match against Roxanne Perez, and ultimately it was a Bayley retention after return after the match. That kind of is the talking point here. We've seen the vignettes from Bayley, and this is her first in-person appearance since those have begun. Where do you think the Bayley stuff's all gonna go?
I have no idea. They had her acting like she was the hugger, so I think she's just crazy at the moment, and she can't figure out who she is. So she's going to probably cycle through all of her characters that she's had on the main roster, from the hugger to the role model and all in between. So we'll have to see where they go with her, but it's very clear that at least at this point, we're still doing something with Bayley that revolves around Valkyria.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as you say she comes out, she's all happy, she's the hugger kind of character, she's hugging fans, and then we see that little backstage segment where Bayley's, yelling at Lyra and getting a bit angry, and I think that is that sort of two-sided, at least two-sided piece that we're going to be seeing from Bayley going forward. I just like us doing something. And so, I'm not mad, I'm not hating about it. I want to see where it goes. And yeah, Bayley Lyra still had a bit of juice in it after the stuff with Becky Lynch, so it makes a whole lot of sense to me. And then I'm going to flip over to AAA's Worlds Collide in Las Vegas. The AAA Mega Championship was on the line. Vikingo versus Dominic Mysterio. And we end the show.
We talked about this last week.
With Dominic Mysterio holding both belts, which he is now showing up with on Raw. And it being Rusev? That's his next opponent. We said what was going to happen with Rusev post-Sheamus feud, and Dominic Mysterio?
Yeah, I have no idea. Should be fun watching it. Watch Dominic work his magic with the battles. I think Dominic is developed into a major star. He's going to be a world champion within 2 years. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think before he becomes that world champion, he's going to turn and become a face. I think fans already like him enough anyway.
I think he's one of those characters where we love to hate him. It's not true hate. And so it'll be pretty easy, I think, for him to flip that switch. It is interesting, Rusev, having been a heel, potentially being the next feud for Dominic. Dominic in AAA at Worlds Collide getting cheered against Vikingo, which might have been more of a statement against Vikingo than a statement for Dom. He's getting the help from El Grande Americano, who's very clearly healing his way through. Ultimately, there's just this big sort of mismatch of heels on the Raw roster, who all kind of work together, but also kind of have a whole bunch of animosity with each other. It feels like a powder keg that's just waiting to explode.
Yeah, I think that'll be part of it. I think the ultimate goal might be for the Intercontinental title and Dominic is, I think they're going to bide their time until Chad Gable can get fully healthy and come back, and I think he'll redon the mask of El Grande, pin Dominic to win the title, and then take the mask off and reveal it was him the whole time, and he's now the Intercontinental Champion. the thing that he couldn't accomplish before coming up with the character.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we have the 3 El Grandes right now. I don't know how far away Chad Gable is, but it'll be interesting to see how they do pick up this storyline once he is healthy, once he is good to come back. But there is obviously a lot of crossover with AAA happening with the main roster now because of Homecoming, quite a bit of crossover with NXT as well, NXT crossing over to TNA. There's a whole lot of cross-pollination happening at the moment, and it's good to see. Well, that is all with the time we have for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up, and we will catch you next week.